Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mom's View. I'm Kaylee, this is Colette and Carly. We're excited that you guys are back with us today. Let's start with updates. What's going on?
Updates. I feel like the spring vibe is coming in.
I know.
Sun is shining. I feel so happy.
I know, it's like, ah.
Yes.
How it feels.
I just feel like this mood lifted. Like yesterday I opened up all my shutters. I felt like Cinderella, she opens the
The blinds,
the windows,
the curtains.
I almost said the gates, but that's Frozen, wrong movie. Anyways,
One of those.
yeah, one of those Disney movies.
It does make you more, it just makes you feel uplifted and inspired. And I was ready to clean. I did the same thing, opened all my blinds and I was like, oh.
It just feels like that mood lifts. And I needed the sunshine. Yeah. I even put on lipstick.
You wild.
Even did that.
I brushed my hair. It was a good day.
How are you feeling?
So crappy, but it's fine. It's weird,
so crappy.
I feel like I wake up with one eye open and I'm like, is today a good day or a bad day? Some days are great and I feel okay, and some days I'm like, oh, this is so hard. I don't want to do this anymore.
I know, it is so hard.
It's just a weird sickness. I'm lucky that I was healthy with Cooper, and I'm healthy with this baby, but it's kicking my ASS.
It's weird because it's kind of just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You can't just throw up and it's gone.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to a girl though, and she said she had been throwing up so much. She's 24, 25 weeks pregnant. She threw up so hard she ripped her esophagus.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I shouldn't complain. Can you imagine? I was like, so what? She was like, there's nothing you can do. You just eat pudding and. Oh my gosh. So,
yeah.
And I'm not even throwing up. It just feels like I'm always about to, but I never do. So sometimes I feel like I'd feel better. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't, but it just is always right there. I'm like, nope.
It's like with the flu, because when you have the flu, if you throw up, then you get that moment of feeling better, you got it all out. But it's not like that with morning sickness.
So maybe I'm glad I haven't thrown up yet.
I mean, it just
lingers.
dang it.
As long as the baby's healthy, but I just really am. I'm
Fingers
almost
crossed.
out of my first trimester, so it's all send the prayers this way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That's my update. Super uplifting. Happy.
I feel sick all the time.
It's hard to talk about being sick because you're so grateful, and it's just this weird thing because you feel like you're complaining, but if people are watching and they feel the same, it's so nice to feel like you can relate, because it can be such a lonely place.
Meet this girl on Instagram I follow. I love her, Jenna's Kitchen. I didn't know that she was pregnant, and she was messaging me. She's like, go watch she did a highlight story of her first trimester, and I was cracking up. It was a montage of days of her in bed, and it was just the blankets were pulled up to her eyes, and I was just like, oh, you get it. And we were talking about how hard it is to feel like you should be working every day and you should be being a mom, but at the same time you just feel so sick you don't want to do anything. And there was even a video of her son jumping on the bed trying to get her out of bed, and she was just ignoring it. It's bless your heart. So it is nice to know that we're not alone.
Yeah. Yes. I felt so alone with Winston because I didn't feel like anyone understood, because if you haven't felt that before, you really don't understand.
I remember you trying to explain it, and I was like, oh yeah, that would be sucky, but you're right. I would never have known until.
And you can feel depressed. And anytime you feel like that, especially when something so great is happening,
I know.
It's just very lonely. So I think it's good that you talk about it, just in case anyone watching is
and don't feel guilty.
Yeah, don't feel guilty.
I mean, I don't. I think I feel guilty because I'm I should feel guilty, but I don't give a shiz right now. I'm
good.
Watching all the Netflix, doing nothing. My house is a wreck, but I don't care.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. What's going on with you?
The spring is here. It makes me so happy, but then I'm like, I don't want it to melt all the snow. But I'll tell you, the few days that I've gone that it's been super awesome spring skiing, it's just it's the best therapy.
You're an Olympic skier now. You're so good.
I'm so good, you guys.
You are. I'm Colette's doing flips and stuff already.
No, I'm not.
Do you do jumps?
I try on the bunny hill because Emmy, all the kids, they go. There's 2 little jumps where you catch a little bit of air.
Yeah.
And it's I'm gonna do that. And I almost fall every time. But the last time I was I think that actually looked good. I need somebody to film me. I
turned into a
10-year-old.
That's awesome.
Isn't it funny? You'll film it though, and you feel like you got so high, and then you watch it, and you're like, oh, it's a little speed bump.
It's so funny. Yeah.
Dang it.
It felt really awesome though.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm just really loving skiing right now, and I've gotten back into exercising every day. I've noticed that, it is hard because you just feel like you're so busy all the time. I'm I don't have time for that. But when I make time, first of all is my prayer and meditation and reading in the morning. I have to do that. And once I've got that down, I realized I'm like, you know what, I really need to take care of my body too. And that's like, those are the two things that I do every single day. And it changes my whole life. Like it really does. It changes the way I interact with the kids, the way I handle obstacles that come along, and I'm just so grateful for it. So
good therapy.
I felt so like down and like depressed and just jumbled with my schedule. I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna look at all the places in town that have workouts that I want to do, because I love group fitness. I used to teach it, and so I just wanted to get back into it. So I looked at all the places, and I was like, okay, I like those kind of classes, and I just made my schedule based on what I like to do, and
That's fun.
It's awesome.
I know, that was when we went to that day of Pilates. That was a good class. I really liked that class.
Fun.
That sounds fun. That's what I was thinking. I've been trying to get inspired to start exercising because it's so hard. And I actually watched a video where this man was creating exercise routines for people, and they added in meditation and said that that's such an important part of exercise.
Yeah.
So, and then I was thinking I should do group things because it just is fun. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna exercise, you might as well just have fun doing it.
How about you? What are your updates?
We just went to New York, and it was so much fun. Colette couldn't come. We were very sad, but that's why she wasn't there with us. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We were a little nervous about traveling with the babies because it was just Carly, me, and our babies. But it actually went pretty good. I mean, takeoff and landing was a little rough for me.
Like, that flight there was crazy.
I know you told
It
me,
was
I'm like,
so
of course.
crazy. A blowout right when we took off. I didn't know it was a blowout until I felt it seeping into my shirt.
And she had a white shirt on.
White shirt on. And I was just like, oh no, this is happening. So I got her changed, threw her clothes away because they were just ruined. And then she did really good. And I think Elliot did really good on that flight too. And then on the way, or when we were landing, it was so crazy. The weather was just so bad.
I
and
looked
it was
out the window,
so bumpy.
and there was so much snow. It looked like you're on a ride in Disneyland with like the stars going by so fast, and I was like, oh my gosh.
And thank
It's
goodness,
crazy.
like, you're not scared to fly, are you?
No.
I'm not scared to fly either. Thank goodness. Or like that would have been the most terrifying flight. It was really, really scary. And Layla got sick. Like when we were landing, I was trying to nurse her, but she wouldn't nurse, and she was just acting fidgety. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Maybe her ears hurt. And then she just started throwing up everywhere. And I just had blankets, and I was like catching it and like
And we were in
trying to
first
keep it
class too,
contained.
so we're like,
throw up.
I know it was rough. So anyways, but it was still a good flight because the babies were so good.
just we were like worried because I'm like, we're in first class, and like, what if everyone's judging us because we have babies in first class? And
I was glad because the guy next to me was like, I have 3 kids, I get it. So he was
I know,
really
I
nice.
was grateful, and the guy's like, yeah, I have 4 kids, that's fine. I was like, okay, phew.
And then
I'm not
the
a baby hater. There are those people.
There
Like,
really are. No, I got a
confronted
comment
a few of
on
them.
one of my Instagram. I'll read it. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, so that made me want to talk about traveling with babies today. And we have talked about it before, I think, on Mommy and Me, back when we were traveling all the time with Winston and Daxton, because I learned a lot doing that. And thank goodness we had Carly most of the time because we had like a third person.
Right.
I did not have baby at that time.
But I mean, you learn a lot as you fly. And so I just wanted to touch on it again and share some of the tips that I have learned from traveling. And you can always Google this or ask other parents who have traveled, but these are some things that have helped me. And some things that I always make sure that I have. So the first thing is a car seat stroller. Most of the time you're going to need your car seat when you get to the place that you arrive to. So they make car seat strollers that are really easy to use. You can just pop your car seat in, then you have it for the airport, and then you just check it at the gate. And a car seat stroller is nice because you can usually close them really easily. I suggest to try them out if you can, or research them to see how easily they open and close, because normally you only have one hand. So what I would do is like get Layla out of, or Winston when I was traveling with him, get him out of the car seat, take the car seat off, put it down, fold the stroller up with one hand.
You
right
get
at the
into,
gate.
like, a system.
Yeah, and you know your system, and it's super easy if you can just like open and close with one hand.
Yeah, yours is way easier than mine. Mine, I had like at one point we were going through security, and I didn't know where to put Elliot, so I just sat him on the ground, and the TSA lady was like, and I was like, it's fine. And I because I had to go in and push 2 buttons and then push it with my knee. That's a good, like, trying it out first. I remember we went to Target, and everyone was recommending like this certain like travel system, and it was the most expensive one, and we were in Nordstrom, and like between Jackson and I, we couldn't even figure out how to like work it. And I'm like, if we can't figure this out right now, like, you have to physically play with your system to make sure you can do it by yourself.
Right.
Yours is so nice because you just grab that handle and it
just
goes
grab
whoop.
it and fold it up, and it's skinny, so it will
Yeah.
go right through security. So you can just throw it up on the on the security thing, and
So you just have, so Kaylee's is just like a stroller and her car seat clips right onto that. Mine is like a stroller, but then there's like those bars and then you have to put the car seat on top of it. Yeah. So it's like one more piece.
And
yours
you
is
would
just
do
two.
so good, but it just makes it easier.
Yeah. I know. For our next
nice
baby,
to
I'm
have
like,
one.
I need something like that. That's just like,
It is nice to have one that's small because you don't realize that it actually has to go through the
Yeah.
security thing as well.
yeah.
And you can get it through without, but it's just like one more thing and one more person being like, you have a baby.
Well, and when you feel that line, but even when you don't have babies, you know, when you feel the line behind you and you have your laptop and your phone and you know, all the things, and it's like when you have a kid with their stuff and then your stuff, you just feel this pressure of like the amazing race, like get it done so fast. You're like sweating by the time you go through, like we made it. We got through security.
It really does feel like that. I'm like, okay, so
It's
make
like
sure
you're
you bring
gearing up
deodorant.
for it.
Yeah.
It's like the prepping for a football game or something. Like, okay, are you ready?
Right.
We should make a funny moms video where like put on eye flag and we're like going in.
That would be so funny. That would be
Let's
really
do it.
funny. Okay, so something else that I always use, and I didn't before I had Winston and traveled, is a backpack diaper bag. And they're so popular now because I think all moms have figured out like
They get
this
it.
is so much easier because when you have a regular one, they're like falling off of your shoulder, and you just always want your hands free, especially when you're traveling. So I definitely recommend a backpack. And if you travel with a laptop, which we usually do, I recommend like finding one that has a separate opening for your laptop to slip into like the back. So I definitely recommend a backpack. Also bringing extra blankets, and this can seem like you don't have room for extra things, but I always need extra blankets. And I recommend traveling with swaddle blankets because they actually keep your baby warm if it's cold, or you can layer them. I usually do like 4 or 5 swaddle blankets.
And they're thinner.
And they're thin.
lightweight.
They're really lightweight, so they don't take up much room. And then 2 bigger blankets if you can fit them. Sometimes I only bring 1 if I don't have room, and then I try to wash it if I can, which this time I had to because Layla barfed all over it. And then
And extra clothes.
Yeah, I have that on here too. Extra clothes, diapers, and wipes because you just never know. Just like maybe just throw a couple more in there. And then with the swaddle blankets, I like to roll them if I'm putting them in my diaper bag. So I like will roll 3 up and then put them to the side so that if I need one quickly, like I did with Layla because she was throwing up, you can see them. They're kind of poking up rather than like getting lost at the bottom. If they're rolled, then you can just grab it, unroll it quickly, and catch barf if you need to. Or just if you need it for anything else. And then another thing that I like to do is use Ziplocs for snacks and toys. I normally love the containers that snacks come in because they keep them from smashing, but they take up so much room in your diaper bag. And it's so much better to have your diaper bag not packed full so that you can find things. So I do like to put them in Ziploc baggies. And also putting their toys in Ziploc baggies, it just makes it easier to find them, grab it, and then you can put the Ziploc baggie to the side. You can bring out toys and let them play with them. And then when they're done, you can put them back in there. It just helps you just not lose things everywhere because it does feel like, whoo. And then
Especially when you're trying to, like, you're holding your baby on your lap. There's already a limited room and you're bent over digging for something in your
it's
diaper
so
bag.
hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And
I
then the
always try to,
baby's
like-
crying.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I'm just touching you for a second. It's for your own good.
You're fine.
You're all good. And then another thing that I think is a tip that I have with toys, if you have time before you're traveling, pack their favorite toys away so that they're not playing with them for like the few days before you travel, because when they see them again, they're going to be really excited and want to play with it for a little bit longer. So that's something that I recommend doing.
I've also done, like with my littler boys, I got a couple little Lego sets that were just really simple. So, well, they were the minifigures. So I just ordered a bunch of them, and then during the flight, it would be like, oh, they're really distracted. They need something to do. So I'd pull one out, and they would be so excited to just build that one. And then after a while, if they got bored again, I would pull another one out.
Like, oh yeah, here's a new one.
Yeah, and so it was fun. I mean, you don't have to buy new stuff every time, but that was a fun thing for them.
Yeah, especially if you know it's a long flight, then it's worth it. You can also look at like the dollar store or the dollar section in your grocery store. Target, Michael's is really good. I found these little booklets in the dollar section, and you could change like the eyes on these faces, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and that kept Winston really distracted when we were on a flight. So when they get a little bit older, then you can do things like that, or like even a new game on the iPad or something like that.
Or let's be honest, Elliot played with my straw on the plane for
I know,
like
that's
30
what I was
minutes. So
thinking.
I was like,
with
and
what?
my cup and my straw for my drink. I asked not the waitress, the
love
attendee
babies.
for like a straw, and I was like blowing on his face with it, and he like loved that.
Yeah.
It's
Or
like,
like
you
an empty
you
water
repair all these
bottle.
things, and like, oh, look, a napkin for an hour. They're like playing with it. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever entertained you. Play with the napkin, the straw.
That's so cute.
Something else that I just found that I've been using, I found these when Layla was teething, and they're soothing tablets and they're natural, and these help to calm and relax and soothe infants. They're for teething, but it's also good if they're like really, really upset. So this is like a last resort if Layla, and I didn't end up using these on the flight, but if she were like if she was really fussy, then I would just give her a couple of these, and they really do work good just to soothe your baby. So
Nice.
that's something else that you can do. And then something else is just to try to feed your baby during landing and takeoff, because the pressure changes in the plane. So if you can, try to like stretch out that feeding or plan it around your feeding and try to feed your baby when you're taking off and landing. That always seems to help.
I always so packed like a couple little dum-dum suckers, because I know that like worst comes to worst, like that little sugar will be like keep them distracted for like a second.
Yeah.
I never had to give Elliot suckers on the flights, but I know in the car a couple times I've handed one to Cooper. I'm like, just let him eat this for right now. I don't even care, because it's like whatever to make him stop crying. But I feel like that was like a fun little treat. And then, like you said, like I always clean out my diaper bag before and know where everything's at, because the worst is when you're having to dig and you feel like something's lost. If your baby's like binkies, I packed extra binkies, and I always get I get leather clips from Amazon, clip it to their outfit, which is so nice so that you're not constantly looking for that binky, because I feel like Elliot's is in and out of his mouth like a million times a day, and that helped with takeoff. If he wasn't hungry, just to put his binky in, because that will even help with their ears.
Yeah. And I took a cup for Layla. She likes to suck from a straw. She won't drink from a sippy cup, but she'll
good.
suck from a straw. So I found sippy cups that will close so they don't leak.
Yeah.
And then if they won't feed, then just sucking on something will help their little ears.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you too. So I watched our old moms video, and we were talking about this because I was like, I don't want to repeat the same things. And we talked about using car seats and how nice it is to actually take a car seat on
Right.
to the plane if you have an extra seat, and especially if it's a longer flight. And you mentioned that you had gotten something to strap actually onto the seat, because it's hard to get a car seat. Did you ever try that out?
Yeah, well, I actually have it still. I could go find it, but
Like, okay, Daxton, we're gonna strap you in.
I didn't end up needing it, because I felt like by the time I got it, he started behaving a lot better, and he didn't, because before he would get out of his seatbelt and he just wouldn't listen. And then I just sort of made a game of him putting his seatbelt on by himself, and so then I didn't end up using it, but I kept it because I thought I still want it in case I ever need it again if I have another baby. So
Yeah.
It's not always
was wondering about that.
feasible, but when we went to Hawaii, we knew that we were going in such advanced time that we actually bought an extra seat, and that was so helpful, because when he fell asleep, you're not trying to just hold your baby in one space for like 5 hours. We got to like stretch out. That can be expensive, but if you're getting your flights in advance enough time, like sometimes it's worth it to have that extra space. When we flew home, I think it had something to do with the oxygen masks or really good luck on our side, but our flight was completely full. But the only 2 seats open on the plane were the ones directly, like
so nice.
Kayli and I both had an extra seat, and I was just like,
thank you.
praise the Lord, this is so great. Because when they're like, even at this age, it's almost like I can't fly again without getting him an extra seat, because they're bigger and like they want to stand up and turn around and touch all the things. And if there was someone next to me, for sure would have got kicked or pulled on or touched or.
And most of the time they're like, oh, cute babies.
Yeah.
But there's just those times when you know that they're just like, ew, your baby. Get him.
Well, Elliot had been eating like these puffed Cheetos, and the guy, so we had a seat between us, but the guy in the aisle seat had this like soft jacket, and I think Elliot was staring at it, and all of a sudden was like, I have to touch that. And he like leaned over and grabbed the guy's jacket and was like
so
rubbing
funny.
it, like, what is this? And the guy just had Cheetos, and I was like, wiping it. I was like, find
Here's
out
the
that.
wipe.
That's another tip. I feel like that's the one thing I'm always going into my diaper bag for are your wipes.
Yeah.
So if you can have your wipes in the same place every time, like that's what I feel like I get a million out all day long is wipes, 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 wipes.
Something else that I do wish I would have had this last time were Clorox wipes.
Yeah.
So I think next time I travel, I'm going to do a Ziploc baggie with Clorox wipes.
Just to wipe things down.
Because they want to put their mouths on everything.
That is a good
Even like
point.
the window, like
I don't know though. I read something like you really can't completely sanitize something unless I can't even remember. It was like unless the sanitizer is sitting on it for a certain amount of time. So then I was like, does it even matter?
It could
even
help.
just to wipe it
It'll
off a little
help,
bit.
Yeah.
That's something that I wish I would have had. Okay, something else that I wanted to talk about really quick. I was watching a morning show and they were talking about that some airlines want to start making a dedicated section of the plane for people traveling with babies or kids.
Isn't that the back of the plane?
I know.
That's usually where we get put.
Yeah. And I do think that they do sometimes do that.
They for sure do it.
Yeah. They haven't done it in America yet. They've done it in, overseas and other places. What do you guys think about that?
So I can kind of honestly see both sides. I'm like, maybe the clan of babies would do better because we would like all help each other out and understand.
Right.
And then those people who want to relax or on vacation or whatever can relax. Yeah. But
It is hard.
Other
because I
people's
hate
babies
that.
don't bother me.
that's how I feel like.
Yeah, they
Like
don't
if
bother
someone
me
else's
because I feel like
baby
I've been there.
I just like don't even hear them. I mean, I would help and do what I could, like if there's anything you can. And really, there's probably nothing like a stranger can do besides like helping.
Yeah.
Like I feel like moms when they're at the gate trying to like fold everything up are always like, "Can I help you? Can I hold something?"
Yeah.
And there are always some guys. There was this one guy, so creepy. There not because of this guy. One guy that helped us in Texas. And he helped, like, I can't remember what he helped us do, but he helped us there. And then he was actually on our flight back from Texas. Do you remember?
Yeah, and he was waiting for us.
He was really, really nice.
Yeah,
and
like
helped us.
the nicest.
And then I saw him somewhere else, and I was like, this is so creepy. I feel like I'm like stalking this man.
We're just in love with you now. Thanks for helping with our strollers.
Yeah.
He was waiting when we got off the plane and like helped us with our strollers.
he was really nice.
Just like, you're a good human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I saw him in another place, and I was like, I hope he doesn't see me. I'm not stalking you.
Like, going back to the question, I just think like being neutral no matter what, because it's so rude when people, like I've had friends where people have said something to them, like your kid or like something like that, and it's like, but then there's also those parents who are like a kid's kicking the seat and screaming and they're like, let's use our inside voices. And I'm like, okay, control your child or do your, like they just don't pay attention. They're not caring about their kids. Like if you're gonna travel with your kids, you have to do your part to kind of like walk them through the process and teach them. And given kids are gonna do what kids are gonna do. But I just hope I'm never that mom that's like oblivious or not caring or, you know what I'm saying? Like my kid's kicking the seat and I'm just like, it's fine, and the person in front is like, can you please stop your kid? I'm kicking my seat.
So with this question about like having a dedicated section, a part of me is like, that would be really nice. I would love to sit with parents. We all understand each other. We get it. If your baby cries, I understand. Yeah. But also I can see a lot of people saying like, you can't tell me where to sit.
Right.
Yeah.
If I want to like pay to be in first class with my baby, I should be able to do that. If I want like the comfort section with my baby, I should be able to do that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I can see like both sides. This is what I was thinking about. Like if an airline wants a dedicated area, make them just like first class.
Yeah.
So the seats are bigger, you have more room, and that would be A-okay with me.
Yeah, right?
Done. Built-in changing
That's a good
tables,
point.
built-in
That's a good
nannies.
point.
So
I don't know, it's interesting because I feel like they do that. Like every time we book a flight with all of our kids, we're in the back.
Yeah,
We're always
they
in the
almost
back. Even
know.
if we book it ahead of time, we're in the back. If we don't pick our own seats, we're in the back. And a part of me is like, okay, well, that's not that bad because we're right next to a bathroom. We know like it's, when the kids are climbing all over each other because they have to pee again, like we're right next to the bathroom. So that's fine. But it is like we're the last ones to get off the plane and our kids are tired. And if we're on like a 7-hour flight, it's exhausting. Yeah. And so I would not, like, I feel like they do that already. Like there's a spot there where
There's
they put
baby
kids.
haters in the airlines.
But I would not be okay if they made it so that you had to be in that spot.
Like if you had an
we want to
option-
buy all first class for our family, then let us do that.
Good point.
So yeah, I don't know.
It just irritates me when people are obvious. I'm like, is not the day you want to be rude about my kid right now, sir. Is not the day to mess with me.
No.
Good thing I've never had to say anything, but
Yeah.
I've heard
We
horror stories
have.
from people.
people can be so rude.
Yeah.
I'm like-
we were on a flight once and I think Brock was in a car seat and he was kicking the back of her seat. And we were just still trying to get the kids settled and like we weren't even paying attention to him because we were getting everybody else settled. And she turned around and she goes, is he going to do that the whole flight?
Yeah.
And of course Shay's like, oh, really? And he was like, yeah, I think he probably will. Like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was very just sarcastic and hilarious. And I remember just like, oh my gosh, what do we do? I don't know. I want to be nice, but she was mean. And I get it. Like, maybe she had a bad day. It was annoying to come and see that she was behind this or in front, or this whole family was behind her. So she did end up moving seats.
Oh, she did?
She did. She moved seats. And he didn't kick the seat after that, like, because we taught him. We said, don't do that. You know, so we do try to control our children, but she was just like, not having it.
There was one flight that I was on with Winston. He was screaming, and this girl in front of me kept looking back at me and giving me a dirty look, and I was trying everything, and he just was not having it. And we were on a little plane, so I understood, but I was just like, sorry, and she just kept
Like, you don't know what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. Well, so I just like wished diarrhea on her for her next flight. I knew it was like a small, like she had a connecting flight in Salt Lake, and I was like, I hope you get diarrhea. Because what is worse on a plane, right? Diarrhea. So anyways, traveling with kids, babies, it's challenging. If you see someone, give them a break and understand. Just try. If you are traveling, I think the greatest thing is like to try to prepare, but always know like things are gonna go as planned. It just
I
probably
think
won't.
also like if you get super worked up and you're stressed out and you're feeling like, I've noticed when I feel anxious about it, your kids can feel that and they run off of that. If I'm just like trying to be happy and go lucky and like you just are in a better mood, you have like, you handle things better and your kids feed off of that.
Yeah, just try to
So
be like,
true.
I did my best, I'm doing my best, and whatever happens is not in my control. Anyways,
We could talk about that forever.
just so you know, like we understand and we get it.
That was a
and-
good topic.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.